This is the Red Line Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ryan F., your host of Student Body Right, dedicated to all things college football. Yes, we are 2 months away from the start of the season, but another week away from Coaches Media Days. But welcome to Student Body Right. I don't know why it's saying early evening sports buffet with Kinch under there. Still trying to work out some kinks. Let me see if I can pull that off. There we go. Student Body Right here on the Red Line Network. Red Line Radio Network. But welcome to the initial Student Body Right on this particular site. I can't thank Mr. Dave Wallencheck enough, Mr. D's, the Red Line Radio, for allowing me to be part of the family. But anyhow, welcome. Hopefully Scott Rippee will be on here talking OleMiss football. But I have to get to this first. Let's see if I can pull it up. I'm still trying to figure out X, Y, and Z. This particular program, let me pull my eyeglass. Back up there. There you go. Again, Scott Rippee should be joining. I've got questions about OleMiss. Coming off that season they did last year, of course, Lane Kiffin bolted because that's what Lane Kiffin does. Because he's an egomaniac, he's self-centered, and he doesn't really give a shit, to be quite honest with you. He care less about the guys on the team, just does what he wants to, goes where he wants to, and that's just who Lane Kiffin is. So I got some questions for OleMiss coming up. Look, they had a great year last year. They lost to Georgia in the regular season. Of course, they exacted that loss by beating Georgia in the playoffs, 39-34. It was a shootout. I remember it. And then, of course, a week later, they lost to Miami. It was nip and tuck, nip and tuck, nip and tuck. OleMiss made a game of it, but Miami won that one 31-27. Looking ahead to this year for OleMiss, I will go through the schedule with Scott Rippee as well. But they open the season with Louisville, September 6th. A week later, I believe that's on a Friday. I'm trying to decipher it. No, December. I've got my dates mixed up. Yes, September 6th, they host OleMiss. They host Louisville. Then the following week, they host Charlotte. It should be 2-0 after the first 2 weeks. Then the big one, but they get them down there in Mississippi. LSU comes to town. Guess who's the coach? Lane Kiffin. So OleMiss, you don't think that game is going to be jacked up in Oxford? You're damn right it's going to be. Lane Kiffin and LSU come to town. Then the week after that, they have to go to Florida, my Gators. I don't know what we're going to get with the Gators, but John Summerall is the coach. If the Gators go 8-4 this year and they win a bowl game and go 9-4, I'll be pleasantly pleased. But that'll be a tough one, especially coming off the game against LSU. If they win that, let down, I don't know, but they have to go to the Swamp. Then after that, they have to go to Vanderbilt. Should be a W, because I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be fantastic this year. Then they host Missouri. Missouri always a tough out, but I think Ole Miss will win that one. Then they go to Texas. That's another big one. So 3 out of the 5 weeks they have big games. Then they host Auburn on Halloween. That'll probably definitely be a night game. Then they host Georgia. Then they got to go to Oklahoma. Then they host Wofford. So let's just pencil that in for a W. And of course, the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State. But they should win that one. Not an easy schedule at all. LSU, Florida, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Georgia, Oklahoma. So 7 out of the 12 games. Very, very difficult. And hopefully when Scott Rippee comes on, we can get more into that. If you're following the World Cup, this is dedicated to college football. But Switzerland defeated Colombia on penalty kicks. So Switzerland advances. Again, I can't stand penalty kicks. But college football, ladies and gentlemen. Some news and notes. Deion Sanders says that he cannot wait until the opener this year. Reported by Pete Thamel, ESPN. He says that after last season, everything's already turned around. He said it's already turned. You just ain't seen the fruit. It's already there. He basically said that even though he was with the Buffaloes, he didn't have the quickness of being free of thought because of the sickness. Obviously, Deion dealing with some cancer issues. But look, Colorado coming off last year. When I had Mark Johnson on last week, he said that Deion is not on the hot seat. If they go 3-9 again, or 4-8, or 2-10, I don't think he's going to be there. But that's just me. I will disagree with my man Mark Johnson, the voice of the Colorado Buffaloes on the radio. If Deion, this is his 4th year, if they have another season like last year, I don't think he's going to be there. Prime time, I get it. He brings fans in, but they were they've only had 1 winning season, and they're 3. But I don't think he's going to be there if they have that kind of season again. Unfortunately, in the world of semi-pro athletics, which I don't call it college anymore, reported by Tisha Thompson of ESPN, former ex-Bucknell strength coach Mark Kolbus was charged with hazing in player's death. He was also charged with misdemeanor counts of involuntary manslaughter, reckless endangerment, and hazing in the death of 18-year-old Calvin C.J. Dickey Jr., according to the statement. His attorney, Barbara Zemlock, said this: while the death of Calvin Dickey is tragic, Mark Kolbus did not attribute to it or contribute to it, and is not responsible for it. The strength and conditioning program that was implemented was appropriate and in accordance with the training that Mr. Kolbus received and with applicable standards. There are facts and other circumstances surrounding this matter that, once presented at the appropriate time, will demonstrate that Mr. Kolbis did not commit the crimes charged, Zemlak said, adding, "We intend to vigorously defend the charges." And as I read through the article, it's a lot of whole legal gobbledygook. We'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully, none of this is true, but if it is, boy. And I'm surprised you don't see more, not the death part, because that is tragic, but the whole hazing shit really needs to stop, especially in that manner. More crap for the world of semi-pro football. Judge ups the bond for ex-Miami player Rashawn Jones after jail arrest, reported by Paul Levine, Aspen. Florida 11th Circuit Court Judge Christina Miranda raised Rashawn Jones's bond from $500,000 to $650,000 and ordered him subjected to random monthly drug testing instead of granting the prosecution's request that she revoke his bond entirely. Miranda said during a hearing that a factor in raising but not revoking his bond was that the alleged drug offense happened 2 years ago, although he was arrested and charged last month, and that she was not aware of any violations since then. Jones, who is 40, is awaiting a second trial in the death of former teammate Brian Pata. Pata was shot in the head outside his apartment shortly after football practice on November 7, 2006. I remember this coming out. And while documents uncovered in an ESPN investigation showed police considered Jones a suspect early on, no arrest was made for 15 years. So we will let due process take its course. World of recruiting. Penn State pledge, ex-Penn State pledge, Khalil Taylor, he has committed to Nebraska. He's from Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, so he has dissed Penn State. And he has gone to Nebraska. Wide receiver, by the way. The Oregon Ducks have got a commitment from five-star wide receiver Xavier Saab. He is number 20 in the SC Next 300. He's committed to Oregon. 6 foot, 190-pounder from Glassboro, New Jersey. He is ESPN's fifth-ranked wide receiver in the 2027 class. He took visits to Alabama, LSU, Oregon, Tennessee, and UCLA, but he has made his pledge to the Ducks. In the world of the administration, Air Force Athletic Director Nathan Pine is out after 7 years in that particular role. In a statement, the school said the Department of the Air Force had informed the Air Force Academy Athletic Corporation that Pine's service in that role was no longer accepted. No further explanation was provided, although I'm sure that will come out. Again, hopefully Brian Scott Rippee will be coming on. On the Twitter machine, it's at BS Rippee. Writing, rippeewrites.substack.com. Sign up now for half off the original cost of $0 and 0 cents. Also at CBS 24/7 podcast, part of at NPW_digital, former MAIS athlete. So hopefully he will be joining soon. That, and the whole Brendan Sorsby thing, it was just a potpourri of dung. Is basically what this is. Obviously, NFL's not going to let him play in the NFL supplemental draft. There's no supplemental draft this year. That's that screen a little bit there. No supplemental draft. CFL said no way. And of course, he can't come back to college football. So he said he's going to get ready for the 2027 NFL draft. This is not the end of any of this. I will say you're going to see more and more stuff come out as far as stuff like this. Players gambling on their own team, players making bets with dummy accounts. You're just going to see more and more of it. Somebody comes up with a dummy account, asks a friend, hey, can you open this account for me? I'll give you the money. You can bet XYZ. I will tell you which games to bet on. You're going to see more and more of it. So this is not the end of that. I found this interesting because we're already looking ahead to 2027. ESPN has come out with their top 25 rankings as far as recruiting classes for 2027 so far. It makes me laugh. They have Wisconsin 25th, Penn State 24th, Kentucky 23rd, Washington 22nd. This is the 2027 class, by the way, recruiting. 21st, they have the Cal Golden Bears, 20th, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, 19th, Ole Miss, 18th, Georgia, 17th, LSU, Nebraska, 16th, USC, 15th, Virginia Tech, 14th, Clemson, 13th, UCLA, 12th, Michigan, 11th, Texas Tech, 10th, Auburn, 9th. They got my Florida Gators ranked 8th, which is very pleasantly surprising. Miami, 7th, Hurricanes, that is. Oregon, 6th, Ohio State, 5th, Texas, 4th, Oklahoma, 3rd, Notre Dame, 2nd. They've got the A&M Aggies, Texas A&M, ranked 1st. I normally don't go over stuff like that, but it's food for fodder. And again, we are about 2 months away from the start of the season. Actually, my birthday is August 29th. So it's that particular weekend they start. They still call it week 0, by the way, which is beyond asinine. So what are we talking? We're talking, what's today? The 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So we're 7 weeks away from the start of the season. And like I said, I believe the media days for the coaches start next week. So let's jump to that part of the schedule. Basically, it's so Saturday, August 29th. Really, the only tasty matchup I see that particular day is NC State and Virginia play, which is an early ACC matchup. North Carolina, TCU, whatever. Then on Thursday, September 3rd, will be Labor Day weekend. All the matchups suck, which you would expect the first weekend. Thursday, September 3rd, there's really no tasty matchups whatsoever. Friday, September 4th, there's no tasty matchups at all. And then Saturday, the big day, a really heavy slate. Saturday, September the 5th. And as I go down the schedule for that particular day, it's a lot of the big boys playing a lot of the nobodies. Yeah, I'm still looking for a tasty matchup. Not seeing it. Oregon plays Boise State, as they do most years. Oregon will probably win that one. Still going down here. Just other than that one, so far, don't see anything that stands out. The Clemson LSU game, that's at 7:30 at night on the 5th. That should be a tasty matchup, although I think LSU will probably win that going away. It's basically it. And you go September 6th, which is Sunday. The Apple Cup. I think they still call it the Apple Cup. Washington State, Washington, obviously a rivalry game. Ole Miss, Louisville should be a nice one. And Wisconsin goes to Notre Dame. So that's Notre Dame should have won that quite handily. I really don't see anything other than that. It's really been kind of quiet as far as college football goes. I'm just scrolling through here, see if any of these come up on the ticker, and nothing really has. Oh, Northwestern plays in a new stadium this year, by the way. ESPN came out with their running back rankings in college football this year, semi-pro football. Kwan Lacey, they have number 1 from Ole Miss. He had a hell of a year last year. Second, they have Jaden Baugh from Florida. He was one of the bright spots for the Gators last year. Third, they have Ahmad Hardy, tough little running back from Mizzou last year. He had almost 1,700 yards rushing. Mark Fletcher, Miami, had a good season last year. Isaac Brown from Louisville. Hollywood Smothers from Texas. He's the transfer from NC State. Raleek Brown from Texas. So they've got a double-headed monster. Justice Haynes from Georgia Tech sort of had a down year last year, just because Georgia Tech at points got away from the running game. He's a tough runner. L.J. Martin from BYU, 1,300-yard rusher last year. Caleb Hawkins, Oklahoma State. He has traveled in from North Texas, transferred. He had almost 1,500 yards rushing with North Texas. Some people in the Big 12 keep an eye on Oklahoma State. I still need to see it. And Nate Shepard for Duke, who had a good year last year. So, still waiting for Brian Rippee to come on. Just going to message him, see if he's still coming on. I'm sure things are starting to wrap up down there in Oxford. I will not make any predictions until the Thursday before the season starts. I will be having my special, probably about a 3-hour special. Have a bunch of guests on, talk about it all, talk about the college football playoff, talk about who I think will make the college football playoff, and of course, pick my national champion. I believe it's completely wide open this year, by the way. People are talking Notre Dame because of the schedule. People are talking Texas. Could this be Texas's year? People are talking Ohio State again, Oregon, Indiana again. We'll see. We'll see how it all shapes out. I normally try to tend on the side of what kind of experience. Who's the most experienced coming back? And is there going to be underdogs? Is there going to be sleepers that are going to sneak up on people? Of course. But some of the blue bloods now, Alabama's tailed off the last couple of years. Clemson. Remember, everybody was high on Clemson last year. Oh, they're going to make the national, going to win another national title. I had Texas and Penn State in the national title game last year. Penn State crapped the bed. Texas picked it up probably the last 6 weeks of the season last year. And some people are going to be very, very high on Texas coming into the season. So, for shits and giggles, let's go. I've been checking out different sites, seeing what their preseason rankings are. I don't care. I don't. I don't put faith or stock in any rankings at all. Period. Because they're worthless. Here you go. Site called KSL Sports. These are their Big 12 rankings. Preseason up to date. They have Texas Tech ranked number 1. They have a few. They think Texas Tech is going to win the Big 12. 9 first place votes. BYU was second, 2 first place votes. Third was Arizona, surprising. Fourth was Utah, even though Whittingham's gone. Fifth, Houston. Sixth, Arizona State. TCU, they have 7. Kansas State, 8th. Oklahoma State in the middle at 9th. Baylor, 10th. Kansas, 11th. Cincinnati, 12th. West Virginia, 13th. UCF, 14th. Colorado, 15th. And Iowa State, they have last. Because everybody made the exodus over to Penn State, which is where Matt Campbell is now. Let's see. What other sites was I checking out? Give me just a second. Some of them are not updated. Let's see. 24/7 Sports. They've come out with their 2026 overall football team rankings as of today. They've got LSU ranked first, Ohio State second, Texas third, Alabama fourth, Notre Dame fifth, USC seventh or sixth, Oregon seventh, Miami eighth, Georgia ninth, Texas A&M 10th, Tennessee 11th, Michigan 12th, Texas Tech 13th. They have Ole Miss 14th, South Carolina 15th, Oklahoma 16th, Florida State 17th, Florida 18th, Washington 19th, Indiana all the way down to 20, Auburn 21st, North Carolina 22nd, Missouri 23rd, BYU 24th, Clemson 25th, and a partridge in a pear tree. Those rankings. The sporting news. This was as of June the 16th of this year. They haven't updated it at all. They've got Indiana preseason number 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Texas 4, Notre Dame 5, Oregon 6th, Miami 7th, Ole Miss 8th, Oklahoma 9th, USC 10th. So they have that. And I'm looking for others here. I think I did the CBS Sports one a little bit ago. A couple weeks ago, I did that. Here we go. ESPN just came out today. Just looking at it here. No, that's not what I was looking for. Again, hoping Brian Scott Rippee comes on. I hope everything is okay. Sports Illustrated. Come out with their preseason 2026 college football rankings. This was yesterday. I'm trying to find it here. And of course, oh, here we go. The Unafraid Show. This is George Wrightster's preseason top 25. He has Arizona 25th, Illinois 24th, Houston 23rd, Virginia 22nd, Missouri 21st. He has Iowa 20th, Michigan 19th, SMU 18th, Alabama 17th. Oklahoma is 16th, Penn State 15th, Ole Miss 14th, Washington 13th, USC 12th, BYU 11th, Texas Tech is 10th, Texas A&M 9th, LSU 8th, Georgia is 7th. They have Indiana at 6, Texas at 5, Miami at 4, Ohio State 3rd, Notre Dame 2nd, and Oregon. He has numero uno. Again, these mean absolutely diddly dick. They don't mean squat. Let's see what else. So those are just some of the sites coming out with their top 25. I think I'm going to end it here. Again, it's kind of slow in college football right now. But come August, everything is really going to ramp up. It'll ramp up with media days because there'll be some coaches that drop whatever, a quote. Everybody will pounce on it and everybody will have a conniption fit. So I'm going to end it here. Thanks to everybody who tunes in, checks it out, whether it's live, whether you check out the replay here in the Red Line Radio Network, the Red Line Network. Oh, I'd be remiss again. Give me just a second. Let me pull it back up. Take my ugly ass off here. Funky stuff now. Here we go. So I'm going to end it there. I had to reschedule Brian Scott Rippee. Again, hopefully everything's okay. He probably got caught up writing an article or something. But coming at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock here on the Red Line Radio Network. Another edition of Early Eating Sports Buffet with DeGinch. We have got the final 8 set in the World Cup. Some other news, some reactions to USA's loss yesterday. I'm just going to say this because I put it on X. President Heat Miser did not factor in to the USA getting their ass kicked yesterday. I said this for years. The USA soccer program is just not on the level of the upper echelon teams. They had a good run. It ended the way they probably didn't want it to end. It would have been 3-2 or 2-1. Probably would have been a little bit harder to, or a little bit easier to swallow. When you get your ass kicked like that, sometimes it's tough to swallow. And now, some of the pundits who were on the USA are now jumping all over them. You're going to have games like that. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. So, top of the hour, 8 o'clock, early evening sports buffet with the Ginch here on the Red Line Radio Network. I'll be your host, Ryan F. I'm the Ginch. Until then, at the top of the hour, grab a beverage, grab something to eat. Join me at 8 o'clock at the top of the hour.
Redline Network introduces our newest partnership, Outlaw Light. Outlaw is crafted for all of the beer drinking patrons of America. They aren't preaching or teaching, their mission plain and simple, to provide a high quality beer at an affordable price. Outlaw is crisp, crushable, refreshing. Available by the case, tall boys, 16-ounce six-packs or singles. Go to outlawbeer.com to find the nearest can or tavern near you. The Redline Network proudly raises their cans to you. Stay bold, Outlaw.